trying to get Shogo in here. He said he wanted to talk. Yeah, what up, man? Hold on, let me turn down League a bit and balance audio. Yeah, you're on stream. Yeah, I figured, you know, because I was doing basically a full-scale, like, channel update, and talking through this stuff, that it might be worth, because I already shouted out a bunch of coaches that aren't on my site. I figured I could bring you in here, right? You won Collegiate 2022. It was for Maryville, correct?
No, I played for University of St. Thomas.
St. Thomas. That's right. That's right. See, that's how very little I cover this pipeline.
Yeah.
Right? And so obviously, like, in your case, you know, you're taking kind of a different lean, like a different angle. Like, obviously, you've been doing, you've worked on the side as a coach.
Right. So I joined the Neace family back in April after our Neace Gets Coached video on drinks that went really well.
Right. Yes, that's right. Now,
so a little over 6 months now. Yeah.
Right. So it's funny because I was talking and I was gonna refer, because I don't know if you'd been watching the stream before you came on, but I was referring to this new brand of content, and I was explaining to my audience that there's a guy. So basically, a year or so ago, I had haters, but they kind of didn't really, they didn't really matter that much after, like, you know, the past year. Like, people hated, I don't know if you know who Nelson is, but Nelson made some bullshit statement, and then you know, it just kind of died. Like, no one gave a shit after. But then in the past year, it came back, and I've been referring to the particular individual who prompted a lot of this content as Mr. Poopy Pants, because I didn't want to really give him, I didn't really want to give him much air in the room.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, you know, with this new brand of content, as somebody, you're not me, right? Like, you don't go on and say outlandish shit on socials. You don't have a huge YouTube following or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious what your thoughts are about this type of content angle, where what is happening now is people basically pull up others' work, others' coaching sessions, and basically nitpick the shit out of them and flame the coach.
Right. Yeah. I think that's fucking stupid. Like, if you look at 1,000 coaching sessions, obviously you're gonna find some things that don't add up. Like, everyone makes mistakes. I make some mistakes in my coaching. Definitely when I just started coaching, like, there's some concepts that, I don't know, just take time to really be able to explain to people.
Yeah.
Not everything just makes sense right from the get-go. But I think just like a lead coach, just like any other coach, like if you take 1,000 sessions, obviously you're gonna find something that doesn't fit the client that booked you the same time at the time. Like,
yes,
you can't be. No one's perfect. No one is perfect. At the end of the day, the thing is that most coaches just don't have their content out there, right? So if you want to go through 1,000 sessions from Coach Curtis, you can't really find that.
Right. Yes. If you want to go and browse Mr. Poopy Pants content and nitpick it, you can't do it. Right? Like, you can't. Right. Like, in that particular individual's case, you may have like a couple, but at the end of the day, that's all they're gonna do. I've seen this time and time again with a lot of coaches where, I mean, I've speculated in the past. I'm not even going to speculate why they do it. I'm sure not all of them do it because they want to, like, you know, shelter themselves from it or anything. Like, who gives a shit? The point is that if you see it long enough, or if you look through somebody's work long enough, like, are we really pretending that it's like the classic league example, right? Are we really pretending that, like, no one has a game where they go like 0-20?
Yeah. And also, if we're just talking about the coaching, like the coaching space, there are some individuals with a very large following that have 8 shit takes for every 2 hot takes that they have.
Right.
And no one seems to care.
Well, they care. Like, they care about mine right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's the thing that doesn't add up to me. Is that, like, some people can just say the most deranged shit and no one bats an eye, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like people just nitpick your work because of the price, you know?
Yeah, the biggest the biggest like aha moment to me was when I realized that like it was that fan base was comparing me to other fan bases. So like, right. If I was, you know, all of my work, I don't think, have I ever come to you, Shogo, and been like, I know how to coach ADC better than you? Have I ever done that to you? Even in our Neace Gets Coach video, did I make it seem at all like I know anything more about that role than you? Did I say that my coaching's better than yours or any of that?
No, and that's the thing, right? When I want to go from 1K LP Challenger to get into Academy, I'm not coming to you for a coaching session. That's not the same market.
Right. It's not what I specialize in. You already knew. Right. You already knew the fundamentals. I even commented on the video. I was like, wow, dude, your farm's ridiculous. Right? I remember that actually now that you bring it up. So I was like, wow, your farm's nuts. Which is something that like we absolutely like emphasize, like amongst other things, like for people that are learning fundamentals, like, you know, how important farm is on certain champs.
The most important fundamental is how to allocate resources. That's something I specialize in. And when I interview with LCS orgs, I tell them like, that's my strong suit. Like I can gather resources like no one else can.
Right. So is it the Hoover dude?
I'm the Roomba. Yeah.
Roomba, dude.
I run around the map like a Roomba and collect everything. Yeah, that's me.
I mean, this is the problem with this, and I've been talking about it. I shouted out a bunch of coaches on like a sticky note that aren't even on my payroll, because I feel like and I just basically admitted this to stream. I was just like, I was thinking about suing this guy. I don't even know if I told you this. I was thinking about suing Mr. Poopy Pants in particular.
Yeah.
And then I realized that like, well, this is a losing proposition, because I don't know if you noticed, there was another ADC. I think we talked about him. You're like, oh, I don't want to say his name because again, I'm trying not to trying not to give too much air to these people.
I think I know. Yeah.
Yes, and he started doing the same act too, where, you know, now it's just like, Neace sucks, fucking bad, blah blah blah. Look at how
I'll do it for free.
Right.
Yeah, I know who the guy is. Yeah.
Right. And so like, I realized that even getting rid of Mr. Poopy Pants or like hurting him financially, there would be somebody else that would just take his space. And then there would also just be like, you know, it would just be bad for the coaching space in general. So like, I don't know, man. Like I feel like I am always just like fighting uphill against these people where it's like, I feel like I have to. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm addressing it. So it's worth it enough to where I have to address it, because I almost feel like, culturally, I just have this feeling of like, this is wrong. And like, I feel like I have to say something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it just feels...
Just ignore it.
Right. Because I tried ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I literally was like the past year or so, you notice these conversations never even came up. Like you've been in my group now for a while. It's been pretty radio silent in our coaching group. Right. Like I haven't really been having to deal with like...
we all do our thing.
Right. Because we're busy working.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like in these cases, these guys are... I mean, it's really easy. Like I could pull up a video of you. Do you have a coaching video?
Yeah, most of I record all my sessions actually. They're all unlisted, so they're all private, but they're all recorded.
Yeah, so like it's like I feel like I could pull up a coaching video of you and act like super disingenuous and be like, he should have told him to do this. It's so stupid, right? Obviously, it would be idiotic.
If you look at one of the 100, I don't know if I even made it to 100, but if you look at 100 coaching sessions that I've done since I joined in April.
Right.
You'll probably find some shitty advice. Like, it's
just
that
may have not worked.
Numbers,
yeah. That may have not. Yeah. But I don't know, man. The reason, like I said, the reason I brought you in here is just to get a different perspective on it, because it starts, because like, when we're talking like, some of these guys like to lord over credibility. And I was like, okay, cool. If that's the case, if you think that, you know, that you're somebody who's like super knowledgeable about the game, right, and you know everything, and you're the greatest mechanical player, then what happens if I bring in like Shogo, or if I bring in like Fire, or if I bring in like Saskio, people that like are doing the work and are actively like playing, that are like grinding high elo consistently recently?
Right.
How can, you know, and I guess that's the next point, is like, how much does credibility do you think matter in the space for, we'll say, I mean, just in general, like what is credibility to you? I'm not even gonna try to steer this any one way because people will say I'm being disingenuous, right?
So what is credibility?
Yeah, like in league, like what is it to you?
I don't know. So for a lot of people, credibility is just rank, right?
Right.
So people think, oh, Shogo hit rank 4 NA. He must be doing something right.
Right.
Right. But then you look at the other side of the spectrum where you have someone like LS, for example. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm not saying he's a good coach. I'm just mentioning him as someone.
Yeah, we have to be very delicate. We have to be very delicate with his audience because that's like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying anything about his coaching. I'm just saying he is considered someone who is very. How did you call it? How did you say the word in English? It's not right.
He's very. It's prestigious.
Credible.
Sure.
Yeah. So he is considered someone who's very credible, but at the same time, he's never been very high elo. Right. But there's no question in the community whether or not he's credible as a coach or qualified to do his job. Right.
Right.
Generally speaking, like you don't see Twitter coming after him for being diamond.
Right. But I think that's what we've talked. That's what I was talking about yesterday, where it's like the esports in crowd. Like for some reason they think that my existence is like almost like an attack on the esports crowd. Like I've ever sat around and just been like, I'm better than, X coach, right? I see that thrown around a lot. Neace is a bad coach. So-and-so is better.
I am better. Yeah.
Right. So-and-so, or I am better. Yeah. Right. I am a better, he is a better coach, which I always think is like the funniest criticism. Cause it's like, well, bro, even if there was a coach competition, which I don't know what that looks like. Right. Even if it's a coach competition. Styles. Right. And there's different elos and there's different needs of the client. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like some guy in fucking Diamond, right, is going to get the same. Like, I'm going to talk to him about moving his camera. I mean, I might, I guess, right? I might if it's costing him deaths or something stupid. But like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's like what I'm looking at. Like, sometimes it's just looking and making sure that there's no like glaringly obvious mistakes, or maybe that particular player, like, maybe they just want somebody to make sure that they're not being a moron. Like, there's like a mental support thing too in those cases. But like,
no, for sure. And I think the thing that people just fail to see is that this coaching style really clicks with the majority of people, right?
You mean like live coaching? That's a good point. Yeah.
You yelling at someone in game is gonna do more to a silver player who's been struggling for the last 500 games. Because he just fails to apply the principles that he watches on YouTube, right? He watches YouTube. He sees people talk about freezing, talk about reset timers, talk about farming, whatever it may be, right? Yeah. But then he fails to implement it because there's no one to fucking tell him to do it.
Yeah, there's no accountability.
Yeah.
Right. There's no like. I mean, I could make an argument. I mean, it's one of those arguments that might just piss people off more than like bring them to my side. But I could use like a gym membership. Okay. Like I'm a relatively in shape person. I'm a relatively fit person. Since I moved here, I've been kind of lazy. And I attribute a lot of that laziness to the fact that I'm going to the gym. Actually, let me be clear. I am not registered with a fucking trainer anymore. I'm wearing my training stuff, the shirt. I was really good friends with my trainer in Virginia Beach. He was a great trainer. I paid him the whole time I was there. And, he is a big reason that like my diet got squared away. I don't know if you know this, but like for the past like year or so, like my diet was like spotless. Like lately it's just been I've been eating fucking ice creams and shit. But like in the past like year or so, I was with that guy and he constantly was just like, yo, you still eating good? You still doing this right? Yada, yada, yada. Right. And, ever since I left working with this guy, even though I'm an in-shape person, even though I'm a competitive person, right? Of
course,
right. It's just not. There's an accountability factor, and it was also the fact that I was like, dude, this is coming out of your paycheck,
right?
Like, you better take it seriously, right? Yeah. That's like the whole like. That is something that people don't even consider, as well. Right. Is that like, yes, obviously, I'm with you. Like, $250 is ridiculous, but no one needs video game coaching, dude. Just like no one needs a trainer. No one needs a fucking... No one needs a fucking cleaning lady. No one needs any of this shit.
Yeah, but it helps. It helps.
Right. Like you're gonna.
Okay. Here's what I think. So I'm in college right now. I do a whole bunch of economics classes.
Right.
And there's this concept called opportunity cost. So
right.
if paying $300 saves a client 10 hours of grinding solo queue mindlessly, right?
Right. Yes.
And in those 10 hours, he can do other things. Like they can work for $40 an hour at their day job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's worth it, right? That's the opportunity cost.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I love that you brought that up because that's something that I would not have been able to articulate as smoothly as you have. Where it's like, I've been saying for a while now that like, I played, you played, we all played for many, many years. I know one of my biggest regrets in like season, like way back, one of my biggest regrets is like not having a coach when I was like stuck in low diamond. Like forever. And just ramming my fucking head against the wall, doing dumb shit after dumb shit after dumb shit, and like having concepts very slowly become visible to me that were mostly invisible. And it's just thinking to myself, like, man, if I had hired somebody that was really good back then, they would have cost me real cheap. And then I would have been able to move to where I'm at as a content creator faster now. I think about that all the fucking time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like it was such a waste of like, and that's why I did so many Neace Gets Coached videos too, is because it's just, obviously it's great content. Like I would be lying if I said it wasn't, but like, I mean, it's just good in general to be like, I mean, when you were like, yo, your ADC is not that bad. That's like a very big, like, that's like a big win, right? If someone like your level sees it and says, wow, you're actually not playing this that badly. That tells me that, okay, at least from a micro standpoint, I'm not fucking terrible. Right. So like, obviously, if I have other issues, like I'll get to those when I get to those. But like that kind of almost like cements it. Right. At least it cements in my brain. It's like, OK, Shogo looked at this. This was not just he wasn't like rolling his eyes like, dude, you can't play ADC. Like, which I've done to clients. I've been like, yo, bro, you cannot play X champion right now. Like it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Just drop it. Yeah.
Right. I think, I don't know. I'm really glad you brought that up, the opportunity cost thing, because everyone seems to look at it from purely like a, you know, just monetary perspective. And it's like, no, dude, like, you think I'm sitting around like twirling my mustache? Like,
yeah. I have this guy who I started coaching about a year and a half ago. He was gold. He was gold 1. Right. And we had maybe 5 sessions over the course of a year and a half. Right. I started coaching him back when I was real cheap. I didn't have a lot of experience doing it. And then like every time he came back to me, my price was a little higher. Right. And a couple months ago, like he booked through you and he ended up hitting masters less than a year and a half after he was gold. Like that climb takes years for most people. Right. Literal years. Right. So this dude cut his like training time by literally 2 years, right? Probably. And paid $400 for it.
Yeah, and it's his.
That's not worth his time, right?
Yeah.
If people think that's not worth, like his 2 years of playing 4 hours a day is not worth $400, that is bananas to me.
Well, you know, the funniest part is I was mentioning poker earlier on, because like I was saying how like in the poker community, like buying a poker coaching or a poker coach or whatever is not really even, I mean, it's just common fucking sense to poker players, right? They just like, they're like, bro, this guy's costs like $2,000 an hour. Right? He's like a high stakes coach, like whatever. Like I'm gonna fucking pay it because I want to make sure that in his eyes, like my game is right. Right? And people say, well, Neace, that's poker. Like this monetary value. And then I say, bro, I'm literally a millionaire. Right. Yeah. Obviously not everyone's gonna be a millionaire from the game, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it to fucking econ flex. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm just pointing out that like, dude, do you think that these people, do you think that we're in this business? Do you think the people that are hating on me don't want money?
Of course. I think one of the biggest reasons that they hate is that they think they could do the same job if they started 5 years earlier.
Right.
Right. They think that could have been them making $1 million.
Well, it probably could have. That's the. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it couldn't. Anybody could have. But that's the thing is like you didn't put the work in, buddy. Like
if a high challenger player took 4 of his buddies in high challenger, they all started creating content. They all like started advertising as their website. They would all be fucking rich.
Right. By now. Yes. By now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did it 5 years ago.
People would rather play solo queue. People would rather play solo queue and then on their free time watch anime and that's it. Like that's they just wait. They just wait for money to land in their feet. Like literally. And that shit is crazy to me because I come from a place where if you don't work hard, you will end up in the street. Like
yeah.
I put my computer in a suitcase, flew to my cousin in New York, and grinded solo queue for 3 months to get an offer in collegiate, just so I could move to NA and compete in NA.
Dude, that's nuts, dude.
I
didn't. You never told me this shit.
I mean, I might have, I might not have, but
I don't think you told me this. No, I would have remembered.
Yeah, so I finished my military service. I was in the Israeli Air Force for
I do remember that.
3 years.
Right.
And I would go back to base on Sundays, right? Israeli, like Jewish weekend ends on Sunday. Right. And then Saturday night, I would stay up all night, grind League until 5 a.m., and then take the first bus to base, just so I keep my mechanics, because I knew I wanted to still pursue League once I'm done. And I had to keep my mechanics somehow.
Dude, we have so much in common, actually.
Yeah.
Because when I was in Afghanistan, it was I was playing Halo, but it was a similar, like I knew I was going to get out and pursue it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have quite a bit in common.
Yeah, so 2 weeks after I finished my service, I got on a plane, took my computer and parts, put it back together in my cousin's apartment in New York, and yeah, I was sitting in the middle of Manhattan just playing solo queue all day. He was like, dude, why the fuck are you not leaving the house? Like, you're in Manhattan. Like, go see stuff. I was like, nah, just it's gonna work out. Like, trust me. Jesus. And it did. Like, I got a better offer than most American kids can dream of for education, right? I literally get free education. That's crazy.
It is fucking crazy, dude. Props to you, man. That's actually nuts. Because again, like I said, like I even got the fucking team wrong when we started talking. Like this pipeline is just it's a fucking mystery to me. You understand? Like when I was growing up, this wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. Like it was like from my angle, when I was in Afghanistan, from my angle, I was just like, yeah, there's a pro scene and like I'm not in it. And to be completely transparent, like I've never really had that interest, which we've talked about before. It's never really
yeah.
But like even then I was just like, I'm not in it and I don't even know what the fuck it is. I just know that I need to make a YouTube channel and like crank. And that was kind of how I did it. Because I was like you. I mean, I grew up in fucking dirt roads, man. Like it's just what it is. Like you gotta, if you want to do the fun thing, you gotta have money. That's just like how I learned. Exactly. Like yeah, like my parents were like, yo, you want to play the video game? Well, you need to like fucking work, dude. Like how the fuck are you gonna pay for an Xbox? Like the fuck you talking about? Like and so you just kind of learn that. I feel like that's something that honestly, it's funny that you brought up this whole like culture around like wanting to mindlessly grind solo queue, because I think one of the biggest like these guys feel like they got punked seems to be, to me, they think it's almost like they undervalued themselves, and I just demonstrated that there was like a value to the time that they had invested up until
they think someone owes them something just for being good at the game. Is what I feel like. Right. Just because they hit 1K LP and they think, why am I not getting paid?
Right.
Why is that guy? Why is Neace? He wasn't even challenger. Why is he getting paid?
Right.
I'm sitting here 1K LP. I'm not getting paid. Like, what is this shit?
Right.
You know. So
they would be like sitting there, just like recent seasons. Like this season, I get to Masters. I can't go much higher because now I'm gonna try to go higher this year. Yeah. Like this season with the Nocturne thing, I get to Masters. And then I'm like, okay, this is about all I can do right now. I have to do coaching content or whatever. It's exactly what you said. It was that same fucking thing of like they would rather just kind of, it's almost like autopilot for them at that point.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
and I have that too. Like sometimes I just queue up, you know?
Right.
And I like the game. I love playing the game.
Same.
But yeah, sometimes I queue up knowing very well that just queuing up alone doesn't do much for me for my future, right? I could hit Challenger 100 times, right? It doesn't matter. If you can't do, if you can't do the things around it, if you can't build a brand, if you can't create an audience, if you can't create monetary value out of being good at the game, then what good is it?
Well, now you just sound capitalist, dude.
I mean, I am. That's why I came here, didn't I?
It's funny because I never used that term to describe me. But people started like doing that. Like they'd be like, oh, he's like super capitalist, and these guys are like communists and socialists and like all these words. And I'm just like, bro, all I know, like politically or not, all I know is that like if I want to have fun and not have to go back to doing shit that I don't want to do, like I'm gonna have to make content.
Right.
Like to me, it seems so obvious, and it's like, okay, if I'm not a, you know, super high challenger player ever in my life, maybe this was the trade-off. Like maybe it's just like I have the natural, right? It's like maybe, well, I'm just saying in general, it's like maybe I was never ever gonna be a high challenger player ever. Maybe I never had that in my brain, right? Maybe that was just not my capability. We'll just say, right, and. Maybe that was the trade-off. Maybe the trade-off was that I just am challenger level business, because to me, it just seems fucking obvious to me. But to these guys, it's just it's almost like pulling teeth to get them to understand. Right.
Yeah. So I have a friend of mine. He has 5 accounts in Challenger right now on different roles. Like, he plays AD, he plays jungle, he plays support. All of his accounts are Challenger 1K LP. Nuts. Crazy player. Unbelievable. Crazy solo queue player. I'm like, dude, just turn on your stream every single day. Just turn it on. Like, you don't have to interact with anyone. Just turn it on and like post it on Twitter, and that's it. Like, forget about it. Like, don't read chat, don't do anything. Like, you don't need to do anything. Just fucking turn on the stream. And he's like, no, I can only do it 2 days a week. Like, I don't want to do it more. And I'm like, oh, why? Like, why?
Did he ever say why? Like, this is fascinating to me.
He just doesn't like it. He doesn't like streaming. And I'm like, sure.
But it's not even on his, it's not even a...
Right. Like, sure, you might go pro, but would it hurt to also have 10,000 followers? Like, would it not just be added value to you, to the brand that you have? Like, I don't know. It just seems crazy to me.
That's the thing. Yeah, same. Yeah.
People just queue up in Challenger mindlessly and never even consider starting their OBS. It's crazy.
It's just a different... I mean, I guess you know, this is a circle jerk, because I guess we're just both like, it's so obvious to us. Right? Like, it's so obvious that like that would be good content for somebody who's, especially, I mean, you know, maybe not low elo guys, but like, I mean, it would be like esports fans. Esports fans would love that. They'd be like, this guy could have been the next so and so, right? Like, absolutely. Now I think about it.
Yeah, but they just don't do it. And what's crazy to me is even players that are already pro. I see some pro players with 300 Twitter followers. No one knows their name.
No, I see that shit all the time.
And then they don't do well in their first year. They're out of the system, and that's it. They never get back. They never get a second chance because no one knows them.
Oh, wild to think. All that talent.
They spent 8 years. They spent 8 years, and they were incredibly talented. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Like, not everyone gets the fucking second chance. Like, it just is what it is. Like, I don't know, and it's sad. Like, but some people just waste their entire lives on trying to make it and never do.
Ah, Jesus.
Like, it's a risk. It's a risk. That's why you have to leverage your risk by also doing other things like coaching, like creating content, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I never, because on my streams forever, this is why I never really gave a shit about boosting. Like I understood that it was inherently bad for the ladder for people to do it, but I also knew that they were going to do it. People were going to buy it.
Yeah.
And like, you can't, like when I was starting up, I remember I used to just boost people all the time. Like,
yeah,
I didn't give a shit. I was like, you trying to get the diamond? Like, I'll fucking do it. Like whatever. I didn't give a shit. And at the time, it was like, I never faulted a booster for doing that shit. I always hated cheaters. I thought cheating was like the fucking...
Yeah, that's cringe, yeah.
Yeah, I never understood that. But like boosting, I could understand it. Even as I never had to do it again. I could understand the angle because it was like, at least they're doing fucking something. Because I could... It's like you're getting... It feels like you really, truly are getting hosed by the fucking gaming company if you don't...
Right.
Right. Like they get so much out of you and they don't give a fuck about you. You know?
No,
like they don't give a fuck about you. Like high elo players, dude, these guys are like considered jokes to Riot. Like if you're not in the pro scene, they don't give a shit. They'll put a fucking they'll put the Smurf really queue in. They'll do some fucked up shit to get you to leave. They don't even want you.
They'll take away solo queue and call it champions queue and make it locked to people they like only. And good luck. Like good luck going pro.
Shogo, buddy. Be careful. Be careful playing the champs queue.
I've said it. I've said it before on my stream, on other people on Twitter. I've said it before.
I respect it, man. That's a dangerous game to play. In your position.
I'm still trying to go pro for sure.
Yeah.
Like I still need.
I'll say it for you. I'll happily say it for you. I think it's a fucking joke. Right. I think it's the dumbest shit. I get like I said, I just think it's so bad for the game to. I mean, here I am sitting in Korea right now. Everybody's excited for me to play solo queue, right? Everybody's excited for me to hit 30 and start grinding.
Yeah.
Their solo queue is 9 ping. I'm at the bottom of the country. I'm getting 9 ping right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where players learn. Like they learn mechanically. Everybody goes, "Oh, Koreans are better mechanically than NA," and it's like, dude, no fucking shit. Really? I would hope so. Good God.
Yeah.
How else could they not be?
Right.
Have you ever played on 9 ping for years?
I mean, not for years, but when I was in Korea, I was in Korea for 1 week. I played in 2017. I represented Israel in a competition called IESF. So every country sent their best team, right? I was in it, and we went to Korea, all expenses paid. That was one of the most fun trips of my life.
Right, and you played the solo queue, right? It's great.
Yeah, we got the Riot accounts. I had the Rusty Blitzcrank. I had all the cool skins that you can never have anywhere else. Yeah,
man,
that was fun. It was fun. Everyone
why can't
went
they just
to the PC bank together and
just
grinded solo queue.
Hold on 1 second. I have to send a fucking thing to my editor.
Yeah.
No, like that right there, like. To me, the obvious conclusion is just LCS Studio has to be moved to Chicago. I know Chicago sucks. No one wants to live there.
Right.
But it has to be moved.
So I'm not going to say things that I cannot say.
Okay.
On the stream. But some things are changing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I respect it. Cool. Yeah, don't get yourself in trouble, my man. But I respect it.
Yeah, I can't say.
I'm not out here. Listen, I said.
I don't even know too much. I just know things are changing.
You know, there's rumors of this.
Yeah, there's talks.
Well, I'll say this then. To me, on the outside looking in, as a guy who, I openly state like I don't give a fuck about league esports. Like. Fans can hate me. I get it. I get why they hate me. Like, I understand. But like for me, I'm just a guy that really values solo queue. And in my eyes, the pipeline is pretty clear. I'm at the bottom of the pipeline somewhere, right? My coaching represents the 90 to 99 percentile player, right? I just focus on getting you good enough to fucking breathe in this game and not being an embarrassment to yourself, your friends. Right. It's like The Sopranos, like you're an embarrassment to yourself and your family, right? I'm trying to make sure that you're not that. right? Then there's the second part of the pipeline, which I would argue that Riot actively tries to cut out, and they're realizing that they can't cut it out. That's the incorrect way to approach esports. And that's the high elo community, right?
Yeah.
This is where you guys come in. This is where, like, you guys, you know, you got yourself, you've got fucking Fire, Rayscat, you know, you got all these guys, Taskio, Oryx, like all these guys that are just, you're able to cover the higher elo stuff on your champions if you need, and you could obviously help lower elo players too if you wanted, right? It's just what it is. Like, you can help them with the fundamentals. Then there's the top part of the pipeline, where it's just like, you're in the scene, everybody knows you, right? Like you said, Riot's hooking you up. You got marketing team now. You don't have to say shit on social media anymore. Team handles that. You don't want to say shit, pretty much, unless
you just tweet the thing that they want you to tweet about the sponsor. Right. Thank you for a sponsor. Thank you for sending me this mouse.
Sign some shaky nerds mouse pad from time to time. Like, you're good, right? And so my biggest criticism with the pro scene from where I sit on my end of the pipeline is that obviously my pipeline monetarily is fine. Like, I don't really give a shit, right? But I feel like the solo queue and the prestige of solo queue is something that it's almost like they don't realize that there's an intrinsic value to it. And when that value constantly when everybody keeps walking around saying solo queue is a joke, it doesn't matter, and the ping, you know, and the ping clearly is shit, right? Our pipeline of producing players that are actually like mechanically good and also just general game flow. Like, when I play in China and Korea, I immediately get just like fact checked. And what I mean when I say fact check is like,
I know exactly what you mean, because when I play in NA, I get to do shit that I would not get away with in EOS.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
I go back to EOS and I get punished for everything because I forgot the fundamentals because I've been playing on NA.
It's like spacing differences almost, right? You notice that? That's the biggest one. Is like the spacing differences. I obviously play a ton of Tryndamere, right? If I play on like low ping, or it was like the land climbs. Like, I did the land climb, and land players just felt terrible. Come to find out, all of them are playing from Mexico. The server's in Florida. Well, there you go. I'm playing from Georgia at the time, or wherever I was, right? I just make them look like a joke. I just literally run them over the whole time, and I'm like, holy shit. You go back to NA a little bit harder. Right. You go back to NA a little harder. Then you go to Korea, China, and you try to do the Tryndamere thing to people. And they're like actually spacing you most of the time. And you're like, ooh.
Yeah. They're reacting rather than
it's like,
predicting.
Ooh, I don't get to just click on you, brother. Ooh, right? You start having this like, I actually have to like think about it before I do it. This is hard for me. Right? So I just feel like that pipeline, like, being so obviously fucked up, is the biggest reason that you know, when our teams go and represent, they kind of just get
smashed.
Right. But here's my question for you, because you know the space better than I do, and this is I'm glad I have you here, because I can ask stuff like this, and you know, you obviously are talking to people and you know what's going on. My question is, practice, obviously, like, Champs Q is an attempt to get a low ping environment. I see that. I understand that. I'm not saying that they don't, you know, they shouldn't be trying to do that. But are those players, like, how often is Champs Q active, first of all?
Okay, so Champs Q was dying out right before Worlds, and then they announced that all the Worlds players, all the Korean, Chinese teams, they're all going to play on Champions Queue. So that was a big hit. Like, everyone wanted in on that. Right. But then once teams started to get eliminated, you know, they went back to China, they went back to Europe, they went back to Japan, wherever they came from, and suddenly no one's playing. Right now, no one's playing.
So basically, and then what I'm fishing at is like, is it really, you know, is it really solving the problem of giving a consistent practice environment for these guys? Then I guess your answer is just no. Like, there's just no way.
No, it's not. It's not. And the reason why is because no one forces these players to play Champions Queue. Like, organizations don't come to their players and say, listen, you got to play 10 games of Champions Queue a week, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then you have some players who are LCS level, and they haven't logged into Champions Queue since it launched, right? and then it shows on stage that they didn't practice. You look at their solo queue accounts, it's decayed to D1 because they haven't touched it.
Oh god, don't tell them that. Don't tell the fans that, dude. Holy shit, D1.
No, and like god. It's just sad. It's just sad. Like they don't want to put the hours in. Like it's sad because like they're perfectly happy just taking their paycheck and then keep collecting the paycheck until your time's up, and then this was why
I asked about this, because in my eyes there's a lot of clickiness in esports, right? Which we're kind of hitting on right here. And again, I'm not trying to get you fucking in trouble or any, my whole thing is just fishing around because I'm nosy. And I'm also, like I said earlier about this whole poopy pants drama, right? Some stuff just feels wrong to me. And I guess I've always had kind of like a soft spot for when people don't get a chance. And this is why I'm so big on like, dude, where the fuck, why is solo queue getting fucked? Yeah, I guess fair. Great.
I couldn't play in Champions Queue because the requirement was to place top 16 in Proving Grounds. But their rule was that because I'm not a NA resident, I couldn't even participate in Proving Grounds. So I was sitting there, high challenger, better than most players in Proving Grounds, but I just couldn't participate. Like my hands were tied. There was no way in for me. I was literally begging Riot to just let me in.
Jesus
like I'm
Christ.
Literally begging them, like I'm good enough. Like
it's like I'm clearly good enough. Like, yeah. If there's any question of credential, like here it is. Yeah.
It's not even a legal problem because Champions Queue has a prize pool. I was thinking maybe it's a legal problem, but obviously there's imports in Academy that are in Champions Queue. So like I don't think that's
there's nothing you could do even if it was legal. What the fuck could you really do, right?
No, but then I would at least understand it.
Right, got it.
If it was a legal issue, I would say okay, that's understandable. Like it's nothing they can do about it, nothing I can do about it. It's whatever. I'll keep trying, right? But I just found it very annoying that I was given basically no good reason to why.
Yeah, this type of stuff, these types of stories are the ones that like get under my skin. And this is why I get so irrationally heated about the Champs Queue thing. People say, well, Neace, it doesn't affect you. Like, you're not a pro player. It's like, you're right. But what if I wake up one day?
Yeah.
What if I wake up one day and say, fuck it. I'm fucking 40, right? I want to try to be a pro because fuck it. I have time to kill. My wife divorced me. She's tired of me playing this fucking game. And I'm going to live out my dream as like the first 40-year-old pro league player. Well, shouldn't there be a path? Even if you think that I'm an absolute joke, why not let me be a joke and fail?
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's the dream. Like, my whole thing is, growing up, we were talking about, like, upbringing and, like, following our dreams or whatever. If I grow up and I see that, like, I didn't have high-speed internet at the time and, like, other people had it, like, that sucked, right? But video games have pretty much always been the place where it's like, if you're good enough, you put the work in, look what happens, right? I'm living proof. You're living proof. You put the work in, you believe in yourself a little bit, you try, you hold yourself accountable, good things happen to you. Yeah. They just do. It's just inevitable. Like, especially like Mr. Poopy Pants case, I talk shit about that guy, but like, even in his case, hey, at least the brother turned his stream on, as shit as he is as a person, right? At least he fucking showed up at some point or another, right?
Right.
And that's what it's about, is that like, and you can't just sit here and be like, oh, well, so-and-so can't play because we say so. Like, some clique says so. Like, dude, fuck you. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know any of these guys in fucking LoL esports, and I don't want to know them. I just want to play my video game with the best people. Like, when did we get to the point where it was, like, cool? And NA does this shit, man. NA does it. China does it. Korea does it. They do this shit where it's like, they play favorites. It fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I get irrationally mad because I just think it's such a disgusting behavior, man.
Yeah. Like, I'm basically locked out of playing at the highest level because I was born somewhere else, right? I didn't work less hard than these guys sitting in their basement, right? And queuing up for the same game. I probably worked harder than all of them.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter.
Right. It's very much a click fest. Yeah, that shit right there just rubs me the wrong way, because it's like there's no reason it has to be that way. I guess this isn't the NBA. It's an esport, right? It's you can anywhere you've got a connection. Here I sit in Korea. I told my wife, I was like, babe, as long as I have a high speed internet connection, I'll go with you anywhere in the world, because that's how cool video games are. Is that like you could just compete, like no nonsense. Like I don't have to get my cleats on, find 10 people, go to a court, and like I could just compete. No frills, like no bullshit. Like we just compete and have fun and see who's got the willpower to win, like who's mentally has got the fortitude to deal with like tough moments, like all those things. When you pull that away and you like cancel everybody's solo queue, which is essentially how I look at it. They basically canceled NA solo queue as far as I'm concerned.
No, it's same.
It just devalues the whole system entirely, and it just feels like a bunch of people just being dicks and kicking people out. That's just how it feels to me. I don't know, man.
I mean, I feel the same way sometimes. Like it's hard breaking into this clique, especially since I didn't like grow up in North America. I didn't get good at League of Legends while playing in North America and met all kinds of people and like know everyone that like went pro. You know what I mean? Like I don't know any of these guys.
Exactly. You're not friends with these people.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. It's very hard to get into that clique.
Yeah, I think for me, like it's just being older a bit too. Like I see a lot of like it's like you're too old to do content too. Like it's very much, there's so much gatekeeping in so many different ways. And I just wish it was more just like, hey dude, are you good at solo queue or aren't you? Right? Like I just wish there was more of that. Like are you the guy, like are you a guy that like, because again, if I wake up one day and I want to be a pro player, I don't know, man. It just fucking gets under my skin. Like, bro, why couldn't I try if I really wanted to? Like, I think it's this like alternate universe in my head where it's like, I know it's like, if I wanted to do it, I know that I wouldn't know what the fuck the answer was. I guess that's what I tell my audience all the time is like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Fortnite, for example, I went into their client. They had the Winter Royale and they had the World Cup. Winter Royale was an open qualifier, right? I went into the client. I pressed find a match. I did my little, I did a match. And then guess what? I went to the finals of the Winter Royale as a 30-year-old because I liked Fortnite and I did want to compete in that game. Like I just liked that. I liked that game and I really loved it. That's why I stopped playing League for a bit. I was like, I want to, I come from shooters originally. I want to compete in this, even though I'm older, right? Even though no one knows who the fuck I am, even though I'm not in the cool kids clique, right? And then I went and I compete and I show up a little late to the scene and then I won some money, right? And then the next tournament, there was another tournament. I went to try it. I didn't place. And I was like, don't really like the direction of the game. Not really doing so hot professionally. Probably should just go back to League, right?
Yeah.
But I still have the choice.
Yeah, like you still can queue up and, compete.
Yeah, I still have the choice. Like if I wake up tomorrow and I want to try to be a Fortnite player again, I could do it. Even if I just totally decide, I'm having fun with this game again. And that was the other thing too, is like, sometimes you just really love the game and you want to compete and you just have that passion for it. And it just really sucks to see people get fucking stonewalled out.
Yeah.
Think about Fire, dude. Same shit.
Yeah, he was 24 and suddenly like no team is interested, even though he's, I don't know, top 10 at the time. I don't fucking know. Like, shit, this guy is 24. Meanwhile, Faker is 26. And
hey, was that the reason that people started saying? Was this his age?
Yeah, because
when you
go into... I mean, when you try to go into academy, they want someone fresh. They want someone young.
Dude, it's so disgusting, bro.
Okay, so here's one more thing. One last thought. So organizations don't want to have academy teams. They are forced by Riot to have academy teams. It's not financially good for them. Like, they spend a ton of money on players and staff and facilities for their academy team. 5,000 people watch academy in a normal week. Right. 5,000 people at a time. Like, it's not bringing in any revenue at all.
Right. So it's a money punt. It's a money punt.
Right. It's burning money for the organization that would rather just have the LCS team. So no one really cares enough, I feel like, about like doing well in academy, or very few orgs do. So they would rather have an 18-year-old, right, that they can, I don't know, develop, make him a little better, sell them in a year for a little bit of a profit, and that covers some of the money that they lose every year for academy.
It's so annoying. Why can't it just be meritoriously based?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Why can't it just be that, like, also in regards to this, like, take an 18-year-old thing, right? How the fuck do you even find these guys now? That was the other thing. Okay, I'm trying to play devil's advocate now for the org. Just to try to, like, I'm not trying to dehumanize these guys, right? If they're losing money on it, right? That sucks. But then my question becomes, all right, so if we're getting rid of solo queue, and we're not really giving a shit about solo queue in NA, then how the fuck do you find an 18-year-old kid that's good enough? What are the do you just still look at Challenger? Like, what the fuck do you look at?
Yeah, so there's an amateur league. That's what Proving Grounds is.
Right.
But it's just in my case that it was impossible for me to get into residency.
Right.
But any other Challenger player, they could start a team with their friends, play like other people that they think are good from solo queue, and start a team and try to make it far in Proving Grounds. And Proving Grounds also has academy teams, so you can kind of compete against actual pro players if you're good enough, right? So that's like the pipeline.
Got it.
That
you're actually, I'm really glad you're doing this, because I literally have never taken the time to even. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the pipeline that Riot has.
Right.
To go from solo queue to pro, but now there's just added steps, right? It's harder to get on a team, because if you're not in Champions queue already, then people don't really care about you.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, I call solo queue leftovers queue now. Like, it's just all the leftovers, right?
Yeah, you got to deal with Turd Blaster on your own, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone. I don't know where he went, but
oh, is he gone?
I haven't seen him in a while. Thank God.
Well, once his dreams, once his dreams of solo queue mattering went out the door, he left.
Yep. It's not worth his time. Good man.
It's not worth his time. We were talking about monetization. He realized real quick, like, can't monetize this shit. I'm out of here. Fuck out, bro. I'm about to go play some fucking Dota or something.
Yeah, he's out. He's doing what he likes, I guess. I don't know. Happy for him.
You know what's interesting though, now that you've brought this all up, so you've got this collegiate, right?
Collegiate is kind of a separate thing from the pipeline right now.
That doesn't really do anything for you, right? Like, it doesn't really. I mean, obviously, like, Riot, people know that you're good, but
it's a Riot-sponsored event. They flew us all to LA. We played in the LCS studio. It was all very cool. We had La Tigres casting our games and had interviews with Pastry Time and all the important people.
Right. Cool.
But at the end of the day, it's not the pipeline. Like, it's not on the same scale that amateur is.
Right.
Because not all 18-year-old kids that just play solo queue all day are willing to be full-time college students. And if you're not a full-time college student, you can't play. And they do grade checks, they do attendance checks. If you're not attending classes, if you're not doing okay, at least, if you're not doing well in classes, like, you're not able to compete.
Okay.
Right? So not everyone has that in them. Some people, like, they look at collegiate and they think, fuck, I'm actually gonna have to study. I'm actually going to have to study for like 3 hours a day. And they're like, nope, not for me, not yet. I just want to play solo queue. And another thing that's different from collegiate and amateur is that amateur teams, they're not bound to each other, right? If scrims don't go well, what often happens in amateur is just the team explodes. Like, I don't want to play with that guy. I'm out. Like, good luck. For collegiate, you're kind of like, you don't have a choice. Like, you got these 5 guys, and you have at least until the end of the semester to figure shit out.
I mean, that seems like that seems honestly like a better pipeline in a way, at least in that regard. In that regard, at least, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like, if we weren't our championship winning team, if we didn't have to stick together, I would say some week, like in the middle of the semester, we would have just said, fuck it. Like, did you guys have
a rough week, like somewhere in the middle?
Of course, everyone has. Like,
yeah, I'm just imagining this, like this.
Right.
I mean, that's a really good dimension, though, in the sense that, like, that was one of the things, if I'm being honest, I said how I'd never been interested in pro play, is because I kind of saw this as a younger guy, where it was like, I just knew, like, my personality, like, I could just imagine myself getting into a fight and just being like, dude, I fucking hate this guy. Like, I don't want to play this fucking idiot. Right. And just blowing it up. And that was why I was like, well, I'd rather be in charge of my own shit. But this sounds very interesting to me, because now you have this dynamic of like, okay, your scholarship's a part of this, and you've got to fucking work through it. Obviously, if this was like an option for me growing up for, say, like Halo back in the day or something, I probably would have done it as well and just
for sure.
put up and shut up. But it's just funny to hear you say it, because without you explaining it that way, I would not have known that dynamic even existed. It's a fascinating dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, and I could totally see, because this happens all the time in League today. You get like these guys who are like high elo players, and once they come together, their egos just cannot fucking handle it, right? Then they're gonna inevitably, it's League, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, a couple of years back, there was a Twitch Rivals event, and Tyler 1 had Tarzan on his team.
We don't call him that. We call him Mr. Poopy Pants.
I mean, I wasn't even gonna mention that.
Okay,
that it's the same guy, but
right.
But yeah, they won of scrims. They start yelling at each other, fucking flaming each other. Yeah, this guy's a fucking idiot. I don't want to play with this guy ever again. Why did you fucking draft me? You're a pig. I don't ever want to see you in my life.
Right.
And, like, it's just when you have so many egos clashing.
Well, that's the other thing. It's very dangerous if they have their own brands too.
Yeah.
Because you basically, you're almost incentivized. This again goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is like, you're incentivized to tear each other down. Right. Like, you're incentivized to just fucking, because you could always just play it off as like, this guy's stupid, I can't. And then all the fans go, yeah, this guy's a moron. Right. I hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a pretty cool thing. So now my next question becomes, I mean, it sounds obvious, but I just want to, just for the record, you're saying that so here you go. I make a team. I decide, you know what? I'm going to take all of my coaches and we're all going to make a team together and we're going to make a run at the academy just for fun, right? Fuck it. We can do it. Fuck it.
Right.
Me, you, fucking Oryx, fucking Phil, and we'll just say Ray, right? We all get together and we're killing it. We get all the way through, right? We get all the way through to the end together. What happens next? So, like, now we're all here, right? What happens next? We go to Riot and we say, we won. Give me a fucking pat on the ass. Like, what happens?
I mean, basically, yeah, you get prize money and you get noticed by pro staff. That's pretty much it. Like, you don't have anything guaranteed. Like, there's no contract that it says if you win proving rounds, you go straight to LCS and you represent the American flag with a great pride, right? It doesn't exist. Like, no one's promised anything.
So then this pipeline is a non-pipeline. There is no pipeline.
I mean, it is a pipeline, because if you win proving grounds and if you beat academy teams and proving grounds, then obviously people are gonna pay attention to that, and like pro staff are going to know your name and, you know, look to maybe recruit you on the next split, right? So it is a pipeline in a way.
Got it. It's just not, it's not definitive.
It's not perfect. Right.
It's not definitive. That's, I guess, yeah, right. I shouldn't be so harsh. But in my eyes, it just doesn't seem like I'm just thinking, like, do you at least get a fucking tryout? Like, what the fuck? Like,
I mean, you're not promised tryouts. I had several tryouts. I wasn't even in Proving Grounds. I had tryouts because I have a brand, I have a following, I have a stream, I have people who know my name, I'm good at networking, I have a lot of friends. So I was able to get in tryouts, even though I didn't even play in PG, right?
Yeah, it's still political to an extent.
Yeah, so I won CLOL, so that helps for sure. Because people saw that, right? But I think I would have done very, very well in PG. Yeah, it really sucks. It really sucks that I couldn't play.
This is a very this is a very interesting thing. So guys in my chat says it used to be that way when they had relegations. You used to get an LCS spot.
Right.
Yeah,
so
man, like that should be how it is though. Like, God, it should be how it is. It's a dog eat dog world, man. Like if your team fucking holds up, you should be able to challenge the pros. Like that's the essence of the fucking ladder, man. That's like basically what I've been saying this whole time, this whole talk. Is if I rally together 5 goobers and I coach them and they're all challenger and we beat everybody, we should be able to play against the pros if we want for at least a year.
Right.
If we have the money to fund it. Right.
Right.
Right. Like why the fuck not? Who does it hurt? That's the underdog story. That's the real shit.
Right. Yeah. And everyone would cheer you because you're like the nobody. You came from nothing, you know, came in, beat all the pros, you know. It's a nice story.
And it's just so fucked up that it's not, even if you do it, like even if you do that, they're just so protected. And this is why the meme of the fucking paycheck stealers is a thing. I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole culture because obviously I've been getting blasted by it, right? So I'm trying to understand it more. And so like, this is why they always say paycheck stealers in regards to these players on NA, is because there really isn't much of a way to like get rid of it.
Yeah, it's funny because Faker, for example, had an interview where they talked to him about the NA, or I don't know if it was Faker or someone else, some Eastern pro, very well known. I can't remember which one. And they basically went through the NA pro, a day in the life of an NA pro, and they laughed. They were like, "This is not how you practice. This is not how you get good."
Right.
because it's true. Like if a pro player can wake up at noon, you know, take their bicycle to the office, play for 5 hours and call it a day, that's not like, how do we expect to do well
because what you're facing is like even my work ethic when I start going on this climb, like you know that if I'm not coaching and if I'm doing this climb and I have nothing else to do, you know I'm gonna sit here for like 8 to 10 every day and just plug away, right?
Yeah.
Even more, maybe. It depends on what Mary's schedule's like. And that's like standard in order to actually like make a dent in like muscle memory and just game flow and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's just fucking wild. That's just crazy, dude. Dude, I love this talk, by the way.
Yeah.
This was like
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I hope I don't lose any chances for it.
I know, like I really do. Like I don't, you know, your goals.
It's okay. Like
your trajectory your trajectory is very much like is very much like a pro facing trajectory that you want to get to. And like my intent
I'm still passionate about competing. Like I want to compete more than anything else. But I like coaching.
Right, of course.
There's a lot of satisfaction in coaching. I do it.
You would probably do it if you didn't have like shit that you wanted to do, right?
Like once if I end up realizing, like, you know, a year and a half down the line I'm never going pro, I'll look for coaching positions.
Right.
For sure. No doubt.
I respect it. And then you can make a video saying how Neace bad coach and
and why they should book me instead. Yeah.
Very high grade professionalism happening in the space here. Very good.
Yeah.
But cool. I mean, I can keep chatting with you if you want. I have no qualms, but I don't want to keep you either if you're chilling. If
I got a lot of French homework, so if you speak French, we can keep going. But
no, Mary
not,
does, but she's Mary actually is fluent, but she's not here right now.
Yeah.
She would absolutely, she would love it, but she's out of work right now. Well, cool, man. Hey, anytime you want to shoot the shit, I mean, obviously I'll probably be grinding after the day more often.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, dude, I love this conversation. I really appreciate this because not only did we talk about a lot, I'll probably take the part where you came on and I'll probably just call it Summoner Speak and just drop it in because it was such a good
video.
Right, because like it's such a fascinating conversation and hearing your story and everything. I think it just works. So cool, man.
Yeah.
I will. I'll hit you up later. I'll probably, you know, if I get stuck in fucking High Diamond or Master Korea, we'll probably go over some shit. At the very least, you can make sure I'm.
Book me at Neace.gg.
I will absolutely book you at Neace.gg. Shogo. I will happily pay. I will cover it. Absolutely, bro.